Hello everyone and welcome to the 7th Winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, it's time to bring you more winter data. We are up to update number 7 and can you believe we have now reached, or maybe even past, the halfway point for our winter update. We've got 13 winter updates penciled in. So update number 7, are we halfway? Are we just over halfway? Well, it's a big update anyway because we did our solar special for this halfway point on winter updates. So the first section of the update going to be solar, and then we'll do everything else that we would usually do in a winter update, and I shall get on with all of that for you in a moment. Just to say that first video release day was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We'll be live streaming at 6 PM. Couldn't do live stream last week because I was a bit poorly with bloody. So we're going to combine discussion about last week's 6th winter update with discussion about this week's 7th winter update. So we will be discussing the 6th and the 7th winter updates for you live this evening. Not only that, we're going to do 10 to 14 there. We'll bring you plenty of long range from Patal Peng and the CFSV2 as well in that live stream. So it's going to be epic. Have a little bit of a party, I suppose, now that we've reached 17,000 subscribers. And we'll be naming the Fox as well. I've got all of your nominations for the Fox that you posted in the comments on last week's winter update. So I'll put all of those onto the name pick, and that's the first thing we'll do from the live stream. We will name our Fox, and then after that, we'll name Medea. But more about that next week. Thank you so much to Richard for our amazing winter updates gift. Thank you so much, Rich. I love it. It's incredible. I think it's one of the best gifts that Richard's done. It's fantastic. It's lovely. Thank you so much, my friend, for our wonderful Winter 2023-24 updates gift. Right, so thanks so much to Shryan Bruin as well. And also thanks to Terry Scully. Terry's helped on this solar special too. More about that in a mo. But the first thing we've got to do is show you the swingometer. So this is going to be up to last week's 6th update. You'll find out next week how we're looking at halfway point, after the 7th update. But up to the 6th Winter 2023-24 update, so up to the end of last week's update, essentially. This is how our swingo is looking. So in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go, and we've got a 61% to 39% chance of a mild winter. That is a further swing that we see there from cold to mild. So we now have, this is from King of Swing, Richard, of course, we now have a 61% chance of a milder than average winter. That is a 3% swing from cold to mild, actually, on where we was with the swingometer at the beginning of last week's update. So yes, after 6 updates, we are favouring with our winter updates but a milder an average winter by 61% to 39%, and there we go. So definitely we're favouring a mild average winter up to this point of the winter updates. We will find out, or you will find out, we will all find out, I suppose, next week how the swingometer is looking after 7 updates. Will cold is being 7th heaven after next week's swingometer. You'll find out at the beginning of next week's 8th update. Thank you so to the King of Swing. Thank you so to Richard Shaw for doing the swingometer for us again this year. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, my friend. Right, okay, let's crack on with the 7th update then. So we're going to begin with solar activity. This will be solar special part of our winter update. So we're starting off with the solar disk on our side of this day from Ham.net. We've got various sunspot regions all over the place, really. However, despite that, solar activity is at low levels, being reported by Solar Ham, and is expected to stay and remain at low levels for the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Solar Special Winter 2023-24 Update Solar Activity Tracker, updated by Shryan. Thank you, Shryan, brilliant, for updating this. So the orange line and orange spots are depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. We've got a new line here. We've got a 60-day average, but that our A-Smarter Shryan has added in. More about that in a moment. But you can see from the orange spots that, of course, we have the peak of the solar cycle so far, which was back in June, back in the earlier part of the summer when we really spiked up activity. Since then, we have been at a lower level of solar activity, but with, you know, sunspots every single day, of course. So the green line is the 30-day average. You can see, but that is, well, that sort of went up, of course, when we had the spike earlier on in the summer. Then it dropped down quite a bit later on in the summer, tick back up into the autumn. We're currently just here with the green line. So we've had a little tick down actually over the past week, but overall that 30-day average is lifting up compared to what it was, you know, back in the middle to last part of the summer. Now the blue line is a 60-day average, I should say. That moves around a little bit less, but the 60-day average is also doing something similar. So you can see that again, that lifts up here when we have the spike in activity in daily sunspot numbers back in the earlier part of the summer. Then it drops down as we go into the latter part of the summer, and now the 60-day average, the blue line, is sort of trending at a reasonably high level of solar activity, but lower than it was earlier on in the summer. You can see that the trend from solar, we can all go way back to January 1st, 2020, to day 2020 with this. You can see that the trend in activity is very much an upwards one, as you expect going into solar maximum of solar cycle 25. Not a linear process, so you see what happens with this. Our first spike actually occurred there late on in 2020. Then we dropped things back down again. Then we lifted things up. Then we dropped down again. Lifted things up, dropped down, lifted things up, dropped down, lifted things up, dropped down, lifted things up big time, dropped down, lifted things up even more. And at the moment we're dropping down again, but I suspect we will see, you know, sunspot numbers taking off again over the next few months and the next year or two. It'll be interesting whether that is the maximum, though, of solar cycle 25. I don't think it will be, but I think that might be the first maximum of solar cycle 25 there in the middle of 2023, and then we might get the second maximum sometime late 2024. It will be interesting to see, though, how that works out. Right, this is from Richard. This is showing spotless days and also the current spotless stretch for solar cycle number 25. So, of course, we have had sunspots every day. So, the current spotless stretch is 0 days. And for 2023 so far, we have had 0 days as well without sunspots. So, that's 0% of the year. And that compares to 2022, which, of course, had 1 day without sunspots. That was less than 1% of the year. Our solar minimum year was back in 2019 with 281 days without sunspots, which was 77% of the year. And our comparable year from the last solar cycle, number 24, is 2012, as we explained last week. I finally got that worked out last week. So 2012 had 0 days without sunspots, 0% of the year. And so 2023 is comparable to that. You can see what happened after that. So 2013, again, 0 days without sunspots. 2014, 1 day without sunspots, and that's actually the solar maximum year as well. So that's a little bit strange. 2015, also 0 days without sunspots. It wasn't until 2016 that the spotless days started picking up again. So if we assume that this is like 2023, so that will be 2024's comparable year, that will be 2025's comparable year, and that will be 2026 comparable year. So the first year, but we should start noticing the descent in solar minimum is going to be 2027, and the comparable year there will be 2016. So 2027 is the year when solar minimum, or the movement or the descent into solar minimum, I suppose, should start becoming apparent. 2030 will probably be the solar minimum for solar cycle 25. Thanks so Richard for that. Right, this is from Shryan. This is the solar cycle 23, 24, 25 comparison by monthly sunspots progression chart. Just to confirm again, we're having a bigger solar cycle for number 25 compared to last solar cycle number 24, but not as big as the previous solar cycle number 23. So the green line spots is solar cycle 25. We're currently around here. There's the spike that we had earlier on in the summer in those sunspot numbers. So we're actually a little bit lower through August and September compared to where we was in June and July. So cycle 25, I say it's not a linear process as you go into solar maximum. So the comparable position for solar cycle number 24, the last solar cycle, would be around here as we're, in 2012 then. So obviously at the moment we are having significantly more sunspots and solar activity compared to where we was in this point in solar cycle 24. However, if we compare to where we would have been in solar cycle 23, you can see that we are down on solar cycle 23. So it's a more active solar cycle than solar cycle 24, but it's a less active solar cycle than solar cycle number 23, and quite significantly lower as well, actually, compared to solar cycle 23. This is showing all solar cycles with solar cycle 25 included in it. So all solar cycles from number 1 down to number 25 are included. The black line is, of course, going to be solar cycle number 25. So you can see we are at the weaker end of the range still with solar cycle 25. These are the biggest solar cycles up here. Of course, we've got the weakest solar cycles down here. So we're definitely still at the weaker end of the range. Just there, but more active than the last solar cycle. So the thick green line is actually solar cycle number 24. So this is 24 just here. And you see we have kind of, for a while, we were quite close in comparison to solar cycle 24. They're always a little bit more active, really. But with actually less solar cycle 24 behind now. And we're up here. Of course, these are the two delta minimum solar cycles of number 5 and number 6 down here. So they're the two weakest of the solar cycles. If we just zoom in on the weakest cycles, so we're at the top end of the range of the weakest cycles, if you see what I mean. So that includes number 5, number 6, number 12, number 20, number 14, number 16, number 24, and of course number 25 as well. So there's the two delta minimum solar cycles of 5 and 6. We've clearly left those behind. Green is solar cycle number 24. So we was very close to that through the earlier part of the solar cycle, but always a little bit more active. See, black is solar cycle 25, so always a little bit more active than solar cycle 24, except around here when they kind of merge. But now we've seen in the past few months that the solar cycle 25 has taken off, and it's now comparable with the strongest of the weak solar cycles, which was actually number 16. So we're on a par with solar cycle number 16 there. And you can see, but 24, which is lagging behind around here at this point in the solar cycle, we've left that behind, What happened with solar cycle 16, by the way, is that we did get a second peak, as we normally do, of the solar cycle occurring just there. So if we continue to trend closely to solar cycle 16, we may see that activity sort of eases off over the next year or so, and then we get our final spike late in 2024 and sometime into early 2025, after which the trend, of course, then will be down gradually into solar minimum. So yes, we're at the weakest end of the range for our solar cycles, from 1 through to 25. We are at the weakest end of the range, but within that we are at like the highest end of the range for the weakest cycles now, for number 25. So I think it's turned out to be a more active solar cycle than a lot of people were anticipating at the start of the solar cycle, albeit still at a relatively, historically weak range. Thank you so much to Shryan and Richard for updating all of our trackers and data. So we're going to have a look at the analogues now. And so we're looking at solar cycle matching years, and Terry has picked these out for us. Terry Scully, thank you so much to Terry for picking out our solar cycle matches. Now, all of these winters are occurring within a very similar point within their respective solar cycles to where we are right now, which I suppose is in the, going into solar maximum really early on in the solar maximums of their respective solar cycles. The first winter that Terry's picked out for us is 1957-1958. This one with a mid-Atlantic ridge heading up towards Greenland and a trough of low pressure over to the east of the coast that brings the wind in from a northerly direction. So that is a backloaded winter. Starts off mild in December of 1957, becomes colder later on in winter, particularly through February and into March. Of course, you can get like an overlap with a lot of these years. So the next winter Terry picked out for us is 1958-1959. This one has a very cold January with above average heights overall to our north and below average heights to our west and south. And we tend to bring in the wind from the north a lot in this winter, particularly as I say in January, which is a cold month, and then February is largely dry and quite mild, and actually the pattern of spring and the summer and even into the autumn gets going, I think, in February of 59. December also quite mild, so a cold January with milder months either side. We've got 1967-1968 turning up as our next winter that Terry has picked out for us. This one with low pressure to the east. Again, a mid-Atlantic ridge. This is quite a northerly winter as well. Mild in December of 1967, and then quite a lot of potent cold snaps in January and February of 1968. And the next one is a proper cold winter. It's 68-69, and this one, yeah, with a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland, and we have all of the low pressure running underneath it. So this has quite a cold Christmas week to New Year, and there is a white Christmas in some places in Christmas 68. Then January generally wet and mild before it turns really cold right at the end of January 69, and that sets us up for a freezing cold and very snowy February in 1969. Next up, we have 1979-1980. Now, this winter is generally quite mild with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. There is some blocking away to the north, but it's quite weak. I think it might have a colder January or February, not sure about that, but overall it's quite a mild one. And then we have 80-81. Again, with high pressure out in the Atlantic, low pressure to the east, and again, cold snap potential is in there. But neither of those two winters, 79-80 and 80-81, neither of them are particularly cold. We've got 1989-1990. This is a very mild and wet winter, with low pressure away to the northwest, high pressure to the south, winds coming up southwesterly direction. That's Atlantic driven, mild, wet and zonal. And then we've got 1990-1991. This is a proper cold winter, getting focused on February with high pressure over Scandinavia, Scandinavian high, low pressure to the south, winds in from the east. That has a snowstorm in December of 1990, and then very mild and wet, windy later on in the month. January 1991 is generally cold and frosty after a stormy start. And then, of course, winter really bites in February of 1991, where the beach from the east, we didn't call it that then, but beach from the east, as we call it now, is unleashed. It's severely cold, very snowy in the first half of February 1991. The next winter Terry picked out for us is 1999-2000. This one is mild, wet and windy. High pressure to the south and west, low pressure to the north, winds coming in off the Atlantic. That's another mild 1990 winter, 1990s winter. Does have a couple of cold snaps in December 1999, otherwise it's a mild winter. And then we've got 2000-2001. So this one with low pressure to the south, high pressure up to the north. So this is a cold winter actually in the north, with winds regularly in from the east. Further south, it's a little bit like the winter of 2020-21 really. A little bit of a teaser winter for the south, with some cold snaps coming and going, but not a cold winter overall down the south. But it is actually a cold winter for Scotland, that one. I've got 2012-2013 next, which is a proper cold winter with low pressure over to the east of the country. High pressure is blocking away to the north, so this gets colder from around early January onwards, and just gets colder and colder and colder actually as we go along, culminating in an exceptionally cold March of 2021 with blizzards and deep snowdrifts and freezing cold weather, especially in the second half of March 2013. And then we've got 2013-2014. This is our last solar cycle matching winter. This is the complete opposite of the one before it. So this is just very mild, wet and windy with winds in from the southwest. That's a very stormy winter for 2012-2013. Right, so putting all of them together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking for this point in the solar cycle. And generally unsettled signal for these Decembers, lots of low pressure across the north and west of Europe, so a proper wet scene. Not particularly cold. This is how all Januaries combined are looking, the blocking signal increasing in the Januaries, but low pressure tending to be sent further southeastward, so pulling wind in a little bit more from a northeast direction. So some cold snap potential there with those Januaries. And then back to milder weather for the Februaries. This is how all Februaries combined are looking with lower pressure again coming in off the Atlantic. A quite mild, wet, windy, Atlantic-driven Februaries favoured. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule with this. So we've got February 1969 in the mix, which is a very severely cold February, of course, very snowy too. So there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but putting all the years together, that's how it comes out. All winters combined for the solar matching winters look like that. Very unsettled signal, very wet signal for these winters, but it's a bit of a blocking signal as well, but it's most evident in January. One thing that's important to look at is whether you're in an odd or an even numbered solar cycle. So we're actually in an odd numbered solar cycle this time, of course, so cycle number 25. So looking at the even numbered solar cycles first, we'll then look at the odd numbered, and they're going to be weighted higher within our winter forecast methodology, given that this is an odd numbered solar cycle. But even numbered solar cycles first, which is including 1967, 68, 89, 90, so about 67, 68, 68, 69, 89, 90, 19, 99, 91, and 2012, 13, and 2013, 14. And again, we see quite an unsettled signal for all of the Decembers combined with even numbered solar cycles. So a little bit of a blocking signal though up towards Greenland. The Januaries aren't as impressive actually as the overall package. So just for cold, I mean, we see generally a lot of low pressure in from off the Atlantic. There's a blocking signal, but it is pushed back further towards the northwest, and wet signal continuing with these even numbered solar cycles for the Februaries as well. Again, bear in mind there's exceptions with this. We've got 1969 in the mix, we've got 1991 in the mix. I'm quite surprised how that came out to have such a wet signal. I suppose it could be down to 2014 and 1990 skewing things a little bit. But anyway, that's how it comes out for all Februaries combined and all winters combined for even numbered solar cycles. It is a very unsettled signal with deep low pressure in the Atlantic and into western parts of Europe. Now, what about the odd numbered solar cycles? So that is including 57, 58, 58, 59, 79, 80, 80, 81, 1999, 2000, and 2001. So all December combined, I should say, very unsettled. Still, doesn't seem to matter, where you are with odd or even number solar cycles. Around this point of the solar cycle, it's a very unsettled signal for those Decembers. But look at January. Actually, January looks better for cold with these odd-numbered solar cycles. The low pressure trough tend to get shunted up more towards the east side of Europe. We have quite a strong ridge in the Atlantic going up to Greenland. So definite, I wouldn't necessarily just say cold up, but definite cold potential actually there with those Januaries. But it flips around with the Februaries, so all Februaries combined builds up a big ridge of high pressure across West Europe. That's just a mild and dry signal, really, sending the jet stream northward. So quite a strange winter signal here with a very wet December, potentially quite a cold January, and then like an early spring in February. How interesting. And all winters combined, finally, with odd numbered solar cycles for this part of the solar cycle. Looks like that. Again, we have below pressure way to the east, we have high pressure in the Atlantic. So really cold snap potential, but it particularly focused on the Januaries. Definitely not much cold snap potential for the Februaries. And as far as December's concerned, they just look pretty wet overall. Okay, thank you so much. That brings to an end the solar special section of update number 7. Thank you so much to Richard, thank you so much to Shryan, and thank you so much to Terry for all of the help on our 7th winter update solar special. Thank you so much, hashtag Team Gav. Right, we'll pause the video there, and when we return, we're going to have a look at the QBO, the quasi-biennial oscillation. So you stretch your legs, get yourself a cup of tea, maybe a little nibble, and I shall see you shortly with the resumption of the 7th winter 2023-24 update season. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the epic 7th winter 2023-24 update from GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much everybody for sticking with the video so far. We've done our solar special. I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. It's now time to press on with the rest of the winter update. So let's do that for you. And we're going to begin with not talking about solar activity. We've done that, haven't we? We're going to begin with QBO, the quasi-biennial oscillation. So this is from NASA. Again, just to confirm that we are having an ECQBO phase. We're going to have an ECQBO winter. So this is the top of the axial and stratosphere at 10 HPA. This is 30 to 50 HPA bound generally axial weather taking place called troposphere. So let's see how straight I can draw my line. There we go. And you can see from this blue-green area just here that the ECQBO had descended from the stratosphere into the troposphere. Over winter 2023-24 will be a solid East QBO winter. This is the Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart from NOAA. So the black line shows where we've been with the AO, the red line show where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. We're currently negative with the AO, quite significantly so, actually. And the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the AO will pop up to weekly positive before dropping back to weekly negative again as we come into the final stages of October. Remember, the AO and its cousin, the NAO, are just indexes that are telling us what the atmospheric state is doing. They're not driving anything in their own terms. So where the AO is negative, we've got high pressure blocking, therefore, over the Arctic and over the poles. We've got blocking at the moment, somewhere over the pole and the Arctic regions. And when the AO is positive, then we will have low pressure over the Arctic and over the pole. This is the NAO observed and forecast chart. Again, very similar idea. Black line shows where we've been with the NAO. Red line's at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NAO to go. We appear to have entered into a long-term negative phase of the NAO. Back in the summer, we had a lot of negativity of the NAO. We did go positive briefly with the NAO in the first half of September, when we had that intensely hot weather in early September. But since around mid-September, we've been negative with the NAO. We're still strongly negative with the North Atlantic oscillation as well, by the way. And the GFS ensembles are forecasting that the NAO will stay in solidly negative territory through the second half of October. So it looks like we're going to have both September and October overall as negative NAO months, which is a little bit unusual. Maybe later in our winter updates through reanalysis we'll have a look at that. We'll see. Right, going up into the stratosphere. This is how stratospheric temperatures are currently looking at 10 HPA over the North Pole compared to average. So the black line is 2023 so far in terms of temperature at 10 HPA. The grey line is a trend. So you see we have been generally very, very close to that grey line since September. So temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere not doing anything overly unusual. Currently, we've actually had a little tick up in the temperature to 10 HPA. So we are actually a little bit warmer, not much in it, but we are a couple of degrees warmer than average at 10 HPA in the stratosphere. Go a little bit lower down to 30 HPA, this is closer to the troposphere, of course. You can see again the black line has been sticking very, very close to the long-term average, to that grey line, but just in the past few days we have seen the black line ticking up. So at the moment we're actually slightly above average with temperatures in the stratosphere at both 10 and 30 HPA. Let's have a look at the latest GFS forecast. Temperatures at 10 HPA, see how they're forecast to develop. So the blue colours here, these are the cold temperatures, of course, in the stratosphere at 10 HPA over the North Pole. So as we run through, you can see very little change really. Temperatures hovering around -60 to -64 over the next week or so. Maybe a bit of a cooling down towards -68 occurring there when we get to around a week's time. And then into the extended range, which is how things continue to look. So again, hovering around -64, -68, something like that, with both temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over the next couple of weeks. You'll notice that the polar vortex, this is looking at polar vortex basically, guys. So these cold temperatures in the stratosphere is essentially the polar vortex at its roots in the stratosphere. And you see that is beginning to get a little bit stretched as we get towards the very end of the GFS 6Z. But still weren't treating in business at that point. So temperatures around -64 to -68. If we go back here and go back to 10 HPA. So that is going to, so by sort of beginning of November, should be around -70. So again, not going to be anything overly unusual, you know, -64, -68, somewhere around here is where you would expect the temperature to be in the stratosphere at 10 HPA over North Pole at this point of the year. So nothing overly dramatic either way happening at the moment, stratosphere-wise. Next week, we're going to bring you some forecast data from the Copernicus suite of models to see what they're predicting this month in October for the stratosphere in terms of the zone of wind forecast. Last month, there's a little bit of a hint within those forecast charts and models, but we might be in for an SSW this winter, but you'll find out next month anyway how those models are looking. So that's going to be quite an important feature for next week's 8th update. Little teaser there. Right, let's have a look at Ocean's data there. Good update this. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, please can you like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. Right, in the oceans, we've got our 4 areas of interest. Got ENSO region up here, got the Northern Pacific up here, particularly focused on the Northeastern Pacific, got the Indian Ocean over here, and the North Atlantic Ocean over there. That is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's 6th update. This is the latest, dealing with the ENSO region further. First of all, further strengthening of the El Nino signature has continued through the ENSO region, especially so in the eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, but also in some central regions as well. Though compared to last week, again, you see that the curves have intensified and pushed more into the central region. So El Nino continues to develop. Further north, how's the northern Pacific looking? Again, focusing here, that's how things looking last week. This is the latest. So the cold average sea temperature anomalies just here has not weakened anymore. I don't think it might actually have strengthened a little bit over the past week. And this area looks to be expanding out a bit as well. So overall, that cold PDO signature looks like it's continuing to develop, which is interesting. Get cold PDO with an El Nino. In the Indian Ocean, the positive IOD phase goes on, so it remains warmer over here towards India. It remains cooler over here towards Indonesia. We know that is the feature of the positive phase of the IOD. We've explained in previous updates what that can mean. And then in the North Atlantic, again, let's go back to last week and then forwards to this week. So in the North Atlantic, we see that further warming has actually developed through the tropical and subtropical Atlantic region down here. Same time, we cool things a little bit through here and then warm things through here. Is that a tripole starting to get going? Let me know in the comments whether you think we might be got a tripole beginning to start appearing. Certainly, we've got a very warm Atlantic. We know that for certain. This is a 7-day change. So you can see that in the ENSO region, most regions of the equatorial Pacific Ocean have warmed over the past 7 days. So yes, you know, the El Nino seems to continue to strengthen. At the same time, though, in the northern Pacific, the past 7 days have seen things cooling, especially so in this region and over here. Indian Ocean, things continuing to warm through that area, cool through that area. So the IOD, positive IOD seems to continue to strengthen. And then the Atlantic, quite interesting. Now look at this. We've got warming just here over the past 7 days through to there. And then we've had cooling just here over the past 7 days. Now, is that me or does that look like a tripole? Could be starting to get going there. Obviously, it's only 7 days change, so that's got to be maintained for the next several weeks. But that does look a little bit tripole-esque, I think, anyway. So let me know in the comments if you think we could be inching towards a tripole in the Atlantic. Just going through this autumn. SOI looks like this, Southern Oscillation Index. Remember, just an index reflecting the atmospheric state. It's actually measuring air pressure between Tahiti and Darwin. There are the two columns there, but Tahiti and Darwin, the overall SOI contribution is just here. So you can see it's negative, negative, negative. A few days ago, we go down to -19, -14. Not negative, that. Partially day, so -7, -2, -4, etc. So the negativity of the SOI continues. However, the 30-day average has lifted up a little bit. So whilst we are negative, not as negative as we were back in September, we're down here. 30-day average is now here. The 90-day average, though, which moves around much less, of course, as it's a 90-day average as opposed to a 30-day average, but it's continuing to trend downwards. This is from tropicaltidbits.com, and this is showing the temperature at in region 3.4 in the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean on a day-by-day basis. So you see we're hovering somewhere between 1 and 1.5 degrees above average, so kind of moderate, borderline strong El Nino signature through the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean on a day-by-day average. In regions 1 and 2, temperature there slowly ticking down, so back in the summer, actually was over 3 degrees above average for close to the, the Peruvian side of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We're now down here, which is between 1.5 and 2 degrees above average. So it's still warmer in regions 1 and 2 compared to regions 3.4. This is how the CFSB2 is forecasting things to continue through the region 3.4, so the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Temperature on the side, dates to monthly periods on the bottom. So we're around here, we're around 1.5 degrees above average. CFSB2 forecasting that ticks up slightly to, 1.7, 1.8 degrees above average, something like that, by January. At the same time, though, the CFS is also predicting that the temperature will cool further through regions 1 and 2. So by January, we're around 1 degree above average. So we should gradually find our way going to a Modoki or a central base El Nino, if that prediction is correct. And later on in the winter update through reanalysis, we will try and explain what Modoki El Nino can mean compared to regular El Nino. Connected to the oceans, of course, in the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. So these are the straws on the doors, Miss Ford. So we have currently had 19 tropical storms. Tropical depression, I should say, 19 tropical storms as well, though. 6 hurricanes and 3 major Category 3 or above hurricanes. So hurricanes and majors are unchanged, but total depressions and total storms is up 1 on last week. This is from Schreier. Our ACE master has been keeping our ACE page updated. So ACE, or accumulated cyclone energy, is a way of depicting, the strength of both individual tropical storms, hurricanes, and the season overall. The classification for the season is below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. Go away back to 1850s with bits. But coming down to the most recent year, we can see that for 2023 so far we have an ACE of 130.40. That is after 19 tropical storms, 6 hurricanes, 3 majors. We are officially above average with this hurricane season. We're waiting to see if we stay above average, or could we even go hyperactive. I reckon we've got to put on around another 30 points or so. 30 to 40 points or so to go hyperactive. So one more big hurricane, we've got one more major, that might actually be enough to tip us into a hyperactive season. Will be interesting to see where we end up. We are above average. Running average to this point of the cycle should be 105.90. So we're running above average for this season overall. We're above last year in totality, by the way. Last year we got 95.10. We're not all that far from 2021, which had 145.56. Our last hyperactive year was 2020 with 180.37. And of course, we've explained that for all of this to be going on in El Nino year is very unusual. We explained that in earlier updates and whatnot. Where am I? I'm just there. Right, we explained that in earlier updates that all of this activity is really quite unusual for an El Nino year. When we've got a developing El Nino. So strange year this. Right, thanks so much for the ACE Master Shrine for updating that. Of course, we'll keep you updated on ACE through the remainder of our winter update. Give us a little pause there, and when we return, we're going to finish this video. We're going to climax, I suppose, looking again at Eurasian snow cover. So, once more, go off and stretch your legs, get yourself a nice cup of tea or something a little bit stronger, maybe, and a couple of nibbles, and I shall see you back here in around 2 seconds, and Eurasian snow cover data to follow. See you in a moment. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the third and final section of the epic Winter 2023-24 updates from GavsWeatherVids. If you enjoyed this winter update so far, and why wouldn't you have done? But if you have done, then please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. We have reached a halfway point. Can you believe it? On our winter updates. So that's crazy, absolutely crazy. But I hope you enjoyed the winter update so far. We've still got the second half of the updates to go, though. So I've got plenty more to bring you. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to our 7th winter update. Thank you so much to Richard, of course, for our amazing winter updates gear. Can you believe we started off with 79 tabs on this winter update, and we're now down to, what is that, like 20 or something. Anyway, Eurasian snow cover, I promised it. You'll be waiting for it. It's fan favourite. Here we go. So this is how Eurasian snow cover was looking when we did last week's 6th winter update. We have made some pretty significant gains up to that point, particularly across Siberia. That's how things were looking last week. Let's close some tabs down. So this is the latest, and further gains in snow cover have taken place. Again, go back to last week, then forwards to this week. Oh, we can see what's happened. We've actually lost a little bit of snow in the southern portion of Siberia down here, but we have expanded the snow line out a little bit across northern portions of Siberia. Also, interestingly, we have seen quite a significant gain in snow cover through central and northern parts of Scandinavia as well over the past week. So again, going back to last week and going forwards to this week. Yeah, we've expanded things out a little bit in the north of Siberia, lost some in the south, and we have made gains across Siberia, across Scandinavia, I should say, as well. Right, let's start going through then, see how we're comparing with previous years. So, compared to 2022, we've got more snow cover at this point this year compared to last year across Scandinavia. Probably less across Siberia, though. That's 2021. Again, more snow cover this year across Scandinavia compared to 2021. It could be a little bit down, though, for Russian snow cover. That's 2020. Again, more snow cover for Scandinavia at this point compared to 2020. Probably behind, though, for Siberian snow cover. That's 2019. What do you make of that one? So we're probably a little bit behind 2019 for both Scandinavian and also for Russian snow cover. That is 2018. That was quite close to the current position for Siberian snow cover, doesn't it? But we are up on 2018 for Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2017. Make of that one. So I think we're behind 2017 for Siberian snow cover, but we are ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2016. So again, I think we're behind 2016 for Siberian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. Right, that's 2015. What do you make of that one? So we are behind 2015 for Siberian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2014. We're behind 2014 for Siberian snow cover. We're not doing that well, actually, are we, for Siberian snow cover? We're behind 2014 for Siberian snow cover and Scandinavian snow cover. So probably quite close, actually, Scandinavian snow cover. We're behind 2013 for Siberian snow cover, but we're ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. 2012, so we're ahead of 2012 for Scandinavian snow cover. And probably a little bit behind, actually, for Siberian snow cover. That's 2011. We're probably quite close to 2011 for Siberian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2010. I think we're probably behind 2010 for Siberian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2009. That's an interesting one. So we're actually very close to 2009 for Siberian snow cover. Maybe a little bit ahead of it. And we're a little bit behind for Scandinavian snow cover. But you'll see that 2009 was an unusual year in that the snow cover built up much more quickly over Scandinavia than it did over Siberia. So 2009 does things a little bit differently. And I think out of all of the years, that might be the one, that might be the one that we're closest to. Let me know in the comments what you think. It's all subjective, so let me know. That's 2008, sorry, ahead of 2008 for Scandinavian snow cover. Behind for Siberian snow cover, I think that's 2007. Again, behind for Siberian snow cover, ahead Scandinavian snow cover this year. 2006, same story, we're ahead this year for Scandinavian snow cover, behind for Siberian snow cover. That's 2005, so we are ahead of 2005. Scandinavian snow cover, probably quite close in totality for Siberian snow cover, but the areas covered are slightly different. But 2005 might be a little bit ahead of this year. That's 2004, so I think we're a little bit behind 2004 for Siberian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. Goodness gracious me. That's 2003. So that might be a closer matching year for Siberian snow cover. I think we're a little bit ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2002. We're well behind 2002 for Siberian snow cover. We actually got the snow line all the way to west of Russia. Gracious at this point, 13th of October 2002. That's 2001. Ahead of 2001 for Scandinavian snow cover, probably quite closely matched actually Siberian snow cover. That's 2000, so ahead of 2000 for Scandinavian snow cover. Our Siberian snow cover is concerned, probably a little bit behind 1999. Again, I think we're a bit behind 1999 for Siberian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. And then 1998, what do you make of that one? So probably a little bit behind 1998 for Siberian snow cover, but again ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. So we're doing great for Scandinavia. We're not doing very well, though, for Siberian snow cover. We'll go even further back than that. Now, I'm not going to do year-by-year comparisons because it would take too long. So just kind of focus on this and see, keep that in mind as we go through these charts. So we begin in 1997. So I think we're ahead of 1997 for both for Scandinavian snow cover, definitely probably quite closely matched for Russian Siberian snow cover. By the way, you've got to turn your head to see these. Right, let's go through them very quickly. Again, this is all subjective, so please let me know in the comments what you think. We are ahead of 1996 for Scandinavian snow cover, probably a bit behind for Siberian snow cover. We're ahead of 1995 for Scandinavian snow cover, but behind for Russian snow cover. We're ahead of 1994 for Scandinavian snow cover, probably quite closely matched for Russian snow cover. We're behind 1993 for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 1992 for Scandinavian snow cover as well, and probably quite closely matched for Russian snow cover. 1991, again, we're ahead of that for Scandinavian snow cover, quite close for Russian snow cover. 1990, I think we're a little bit behind 1990 for Russian Siberian snow cover, but well ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 1999 for Scandinavian snow cover, but behind for Russian snow cover. We're ahead of both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover in 1998. And I think we're ahead of 1987 I should say, as well. So that one is 1988. We're ahead of that, both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover, and ahead of 1987 as well, just so no confusion. 1986, we might be quite close to 1986 for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 1985 for Scandinavian snow cover, probably quite close for Russian snow cover. We're behind 1984 for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. Same is true for 1983. Same is true for 1982 as well. Ahead of those years for Scandinavian snow cover, but behind for Russian snow cover. 1981, again, same story. We're ahead for Scandinavian snow cover, but probably a bit behind for Russian snow cover. 1980, probably quite closely matched Russian snow cover, but the areas covered a little bit different. We are ahead of 1980 for Scandinavian snow cover, ahead of 1979 Scandinavian snow cover as well. 1978, that's an interesting one. We're probably quite close for Russian snow cover. 1978 now, maybe a little bit behind, and probably a bit ahead, I should say, for Scandinavian snow cover. 1977, we are behind 77 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover, I think. Same is true for 1976, particularly so for Russian snow cover. 1975, probably quite close to this year. 1974 may also be quite close for Russian snow cover, but we're ahead Scandinavian snow cover. Same is true for 1973. 1972, we're behind that year for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover at this point. 1971, we're behind that for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover as well. We're well behind 1917 for Russian snow cover, but probably a bit ahead Scandinavian snow cover. No data for 1969. 1968, we are behind for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. 1967, we're behind for Russian snow cover, but ahead for Scandinavian. And finally, 1966, we're behind that for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. And we're done at 52 minutes. That's not bad going, is it? For no, we had all that extra solar data as well that we had to include. So I reckon, just over 50 minutes is pretty good going. Well done, Gav. Give me a clap, please, everybody. Those snow cover charts are interesting. So we are apparently doing really quite poorly at the moment for Russian/Siberian snow cover, but it's interesting that we're seeing the snow cover increasing over Scandinavia. Could this year turn out similar to 2009? That also was an El Nino year, of course. I think next week going to be very, very interesting to see whether we have increased of snow over Scandinavia in particular. We're keeping a very close eye on Eurasian snow cover for the remainder of our winter updates. Right, well, that's it then. The epic 7th winter update is done in the can. Thank you so much to hashtag Team Gav, Richard, Terry and Schreier for all of the help on this update. We will be live at 6 o'clock, so if you've got any questions about this or last week's update, then please post away. And I shall see you live at 6 p.m. And as at the beginning of next week's 8th update, we'll have a swingometer for you and you'll find out how this 7th update has affected things, if indeed it has. for the epic 7th Winter 2023-24 update. That is all for now. Thank you so much for sticking with this very, very long video. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week with more data. Bye for now.